Hello, love. I'm back, family. I have not been posting in a while because now I'm going to be posting on the regular, and it's taken a bit of time to do that. It's taken a bit of rest time. It's taken a bit of refinement time. I just want to say a very loving thank you for being a part of this channel. For those of you watching this, and if you're new, a very warm and loving welcome to you. This is going to be, I'm going to get right into it. Moving forward, I am going to be, if you are an OG of the channel, 44 on the counter as I say that, OG. If you're an OG of the channel, I'm going to be going back to essentially a lot of what I was doing before. When I had the Libran key. A lot of channeled messages and teachings that want to come through on behalf of a lot of galactic energies, angelic energies in the angelic realm, and other energies and entities as well that want to work here on behalf of our highest and greatest good. But they're going to be very focused on the empath starseed journey, empathic starseeds, and sensitive souls, spiritually sensitive souls. So I just want to give that as a sort of quick update. I may be doing a sort of trailer to the channel or an update in that respect. We'll see how it goes moving forward. But there's a lot of evolution and growth that is happening for empaths and empath consciousness here on Mama Gaia. And I have come to the very deep realization that that is exactly who I'm here for. And that is going to be the lens, really, moving forward. A lot of this is going to have to do with relationships. A lot of this is going to have to do with not just relationships with other people, to whatever capacity that is, but the relationships that we have with ourselves and the journey that we are on here as empaths and navigating this wilderness of energy and emotions and relationships and the whole shebang, okay? So on that note, we're going to get right into the channeled messages here for sensitive souls, specifically what I had come through here. Were those of us who are struggling at the moment to trust ourselves in relationships and where a relationship may be going, especially if the relationship looks really good on paper right now. So if this is resonating for you, stick around, because we're going to get into some channeled messages and guidance around this. I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story as well when it comes to this, because we're going to be talking about also the journey of trusting your intuition, especially through relationships. And on that note, I'm going to get right into the notes here. So I had the Everyday Witch Tarot sitting on my space deck here, and the Venusians and Commander Ashtar coming through for this message had me split the deck. So it looked like this sitting on my space deck. This is the Nine of Cups, and it pertains to this message. And I split the deck on the King of Cups, and I heard emotional mastery. Now take a look at this depiction of this King of Cups. This King of Cups is sitting on a tiny, tiny, tiny little island of sand here. He's got a telescope in his right hand and a cup in his left, and in the background we've got dolphins, we've got merfolk, we got fish in the front, we got the little kitty, the broomstick, all that jazz. Some of these things might actually be synchronicities for you, whatever you're seeing as well. I just want to make note of that in these images. What's really cool about this depiction of the King of Cups is that he is looking at things from a distance. I'm hearing that from a distance. Was that Bette Midler? It was a beautiful song. there's something about, and that may be synchronicity for some of you. Sorry, getting off track here, but on track. Anyway, there's something about distancing ourselves from a situation. Observing a situation is how they're showing it to me, that can actually give us a better chance to tune into our intuition. Not emotionally how we're feeling and what's throwing us off kilter. But being simultaneously being able to see something from a distance, but also really up close at the same time because he's holding a telescope. This is really fascinating. So we've got the telescope is in, I'm sorry, did I say the right hand? The telescope is in the left hand. The cup is in the right hand. The cup is the emotional body. The cup is what emotions we're sending out. And the telescope is going inward, checking out to tune in to whatever the situation is to better trust ourselves, right? Notice how he's not touching the water, okay? He's not in the thick of being drenched in emotion. He's wearing blue, which is the energy of truth and clarity, right? He's cloaked in red. There's a beautiful balancing here going on here. The red is also, it's not just connected to the heart, and I'm getting a lot of ruby energy with that, like as a crystal or a gemstone, possibly to be working with. But it's also about grounding that energy, right? Getting grounded. And that's another thing that they've brought through before. This energy of being grounded, getting grounded so that you can better access your intuition, which is this Nine of Cups card, okay? Her familiar, her little kitty is next to her, protecting her. She is tuned in. And notice again, the water is not touching her. She's earned all the cups that are sitting there behind her, but they're behind her. She's not looking at them. They're behind her. She's not sitting on her laurels. She's doing the work. She's doing the work of emotional mastery. And that's another parallel message that wants to come through here for the collective that's watching this, is that you have achieved, just like these cups sitting here, right? These trophies, you've achieved a certain level of emotional mastery and distance with this King of Cups to be able to really observe a situation and how you respond to it. I'm hearing especially in a codependent way, or where perhaps your energetic boundaries are very blurred. You're coming to a point in your journey where you've become clearer. Your ability to see this and do this kind of pattern recognition has become clearer. Okay? But that doesn't mean that the work is done, right? It doesn't mean that the work is done. This is an ongoing evolution here. This is an ongoing evolution. On that note, I'm going to bring in the crystals that I'm working with in this reading. This is kunzite. It's actually a very sort of light mauve, kind of pink color. This is very connected to right relationship. This is a higher frequency stone crystal. And I've got rhodonite here as well, which is a little bit more grounding, gets us more in the body, okay? Interesting that these two wanted to be chosen along with that ruby energy that was coming through, because this is about attuning to the body through the heart space and the heart space through the body. They're showing me that this is a loop that either can get you caught or stuck a little bit. So there has to be this sort of, again, pattern recognition. Now with the kunzite coming in, kunzite is a crystal that is very much about aligning you to right relationship, aligning you to what is a frequency match, okay? If you read different sources with kunzite, you'll get to actually put kunzite like under your pillow or by your bedside in order to align and attract to you a partner that is a match energetically, frequency-wise, okay? So this is all that's sort of coming through this. So whether you have struggled to trust yourself in relationships, currently struggling to trust yourself at the moment through a relationship and where potentially it may be going, 10-10 on the counter as I say that, something is coming to completion here because we do have the Nine of Cups, and that's this closing out of a cycle. So there's a transition here that is being asked to take place. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean, I want to be absolutely clear here, this doesn't mean that a relationship needs to end in order for this to happen. It could just be that you are no longer repeating a certain pattern in relationship, and that's actually improving a relationship that you're in. Or it is about getting out of a connection or a relationship where you know this is no longer an energetic match for you. There's some kind of transition asking to take place here. Okay, so I'm just going to read the notes from the meditation and what was coming through before I started recording here and got into the video, and going to get into the cards. Okay, so they showed me the King of Cups, and I heard emotional mastery. And then I heard, been there, done that. For some of you, this is acknowledging the fact that you are beginning to recognize patterns, or perhaps you have really done a lot of shadow work around relationships. And I'm also hearing with that codependency work where you've recognition, right, of how you are in certain relationships as an empath, as a spiritual empath, right? And then I heard biding time. Some of us are biding time. We're staying or remaining in a situation, we're holding out for something until conditions improve. And then I heard waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then I heard the idea that patience is a virtue sometimes actually comes to bite you in the ass. And I had my Fae companion actually deliver that message, specifically wanting to bring a little lightness to this, because there comes a point when you are observing this about yourself with a sense of lightness. But this is also a recognition that there's an old version of you that might have believed that, but now you're seeing it in a different way because you've grown, because you've evolved. And then I heard, when you know, you know. And on that note, I'm going to put my notebook down and share a personal story and then get into the cards. So the personal story, without making this super long, and maybe we'll get into it at another time more deeply, was that about a year, just over a year before I actually separated and divorced my now ex-husband, I intuitively knew that something was off. Something was off in our marriage. I also felt that it wasn't really going anywhere. Now, this was pre my awakening. So I understood it at the time, going back to this old version of you, right? I understood it at the time as just something was kind of nagging at me. Something wasn't feeling right about the connection. And a lot of that emerged because of the fact that I, at the time, was exploring. I was doing a lot of deep work around the work that I wanted to pursue at the time, okay? And in particular, I was taking a class that was emotionally, and I think emotionally, but also spiritually. I really truly believe that a big preamble to my spiritual awakening was this. I was taking a class at the time that was just ripping off the layers of who I thought I was, you know? And it was really opening me up, right? And I was changing and I was growing and I was evolving. And things were changing for me. And I wanted to really pursue what it was I was doing at the time. Not just for me, but for my husband and I together, for the life that we wanted to essentially have for ourselves, the life that we wanted to build, right? But I soon started to realize that we actually didn't want to build the same life. I thought we did. I thought that, and we did, at one time we did, but then things change, right? Now, I remember having a conversation with him. One of the things, and again, going back to this idea of this relationship looking really good on paper, like you're good communicators, everything seems to be okay. Like on the surface, everything is fine. There's no real serious issue here, right? Again, with your own divine free will, take whatever resonates from this and leave the rest. One of the good things that we really had in our relationship, 1616 on the counter. Yep. Tower energy and the energy of going deeper. One of the things that were really good in our relationship was communication. We talked to each other about everything. And I was very open to him about how I was feeling. And I said at some point, I think maybe it would be a good idea for us to separate. He wasn't having any of that. And in the beginning, and then he kind of thought, okay, maybe we just need to give ourselves some space. We were still living in the same house together, but we were giving each other space. And maybe, I don't know, 2-3 weeks later, he comes back to me and says, you know, this is ridiculous, like living this way. We love each other. Why don't we just give this another go? Now, obviously, this giving it another go involved certain changes to be made, right? And I remember that at the time, I was feeling the pain of that separation, you know, like being in the same house together, but not really being together, like we were just roommates kind of thing. I still loved him, and I still to this day love him. You know, he's a beautiful soul. And when we eventually divorced, it was the most loving divorce. And I know that there are people that I still say that to, and they just don't get it. They don't understand, well, how can you love each other? That's a whole other topic for discussion, right? Especially when you are a spiritual empath or somebody who's really, you know, sees these things at a much deeper level, okay? And that's not to knock anybody who sees it differently. Everybody's experience is unique. So, you know, people will still say to me sometimes, like, my God, but you loved each other. Like, couldn't you just make it work? It's not just love that's required for that. And it can still be an absolutely beautiful thing when you love someone and you choose not to continue to be with them because it's best for the both of you, right? That's really love. And to me, that's actually success. That's not a failed marriage or a failed relationship. So essentially, you know, I thought about it. Didn't take long. I basically was like, you know, we love each other. We've been through so much together. We've been so many years together. Of course. Why wouldn't we try to make this work? And not just at the first. I mean, there were obviously things leading up to that, right? It wasn't like there weren't issues or problems or challenges that had come up before that. It's just I had this feeling. And I'd always been that way, you know? I'd always sort of been intuitive, had feelings, all that jazz. So we gave it another go. And essentially what ended up happening was I discovered something that was not known to me, right? And about something he was doing, and that was essentially the tipping point. That was the tipping point. And just over a year after that, we separated and we divorced. Now, I bring all of this up because throughout that entire experience, knowing what I knew, right? Feeling how I was feeling. And even throughout the time that we were giving it a second go, I had feelings that would come up where, strangely, I couldn't see myself beyond a certain point with him. That's how it was presenting itself to me, right? And there was one very specific instance where I was by myself in the apartment where we were living at the time. And I think this was only about maybe, it wasn't long before we actually separated and divorced again. I was watching, I had Eat, Pray, Love on. I had it playing. I was in between shifts at work. And I don't even remember the scene. I think it was the scene where she was talking to her friend, where the main character, where Liz essentially was talking to her friend. And she said something and I started bawling. And it was this just emotion that needed to come out of me, where I resonated so much with what she said about essentially kind of knowing that she couldn't be with this man anymore. And the crazy thing is that, oh man, 2222 on the counter, I'm telling you. Essentially, it's like, how do I describe this? You go through these kind of feelings and you feel these emotions and your intuition is speaking to you in different ways. And it's also putting a lot of synchronicities in front of you, right? At the time, of course, I wasn't as on top of those things, right? But again, it was a knowing. And I think in a way, I didn't want to believe it. So I just continued to go through the motions. But at the same time, there was something that was telling me that it was all going to work out somehow, whether I would stay in that marriage or whether I wouldn't. So the old version of me would have said, sometimes patience as a virtue comes to bite you in the ass, because there was a time once I was separated and going through that divorce process where I was really hard on myself about not making that decision earlier. But I would not have known, and it's like I had to go through that process in order to trust my intuition even more. And also essentially to give this thing space, to give this thing the time and space that it needed. Because there was also this other part of me that knew that if I hadn't given it that time and space, even though I had the feeling, I had the niggle, right? I would have come out of that thinking I checked out too soon. So you see how this works? This process of trusting ourselves, especially in relationship, is a journey. It's a journey. And coming back to this emotional mastery, when you build that muscle more and more, you are able to become that much more discerning moving forward, okay? I'm going to leave it at that. I also invite you to leave any comments here and share any experiences that may have been similar for you. Where it's like you knew before, it's like you knew, but you had to go through the motions of it, at the same time trusting that no matter what was going to happen, right, it was going to work out. And I think this happens a lot in connections where, again, everything looks seemingly good on paper. And I feel that this is also a very unique experience for empath starseeds, spiritual empaths who are in relationship. And on that note, I'm going to pop some cards from the Rose Oracle deck and Pamela's Genius, the Rider-Waite-Smith. I got my little mini deck out here. I just want to pop some cards here for guidance and support wherever you may be at on this journey. Any kind of specific messages for this collective as well. Coming in on behalf of your higher selves, with the permission of your higher selves, and any guides that want to come through on your behalf. I'm getting a lot of shamanic energy already coming through with that. I'm also getting kind of like a warrior energy as well. Viking energy wanting to come through as well. Some of these could be your guides. The second bloom. A second chance. It's never too late. New possibilities. So for some of you who have been through perhaps a similar experience like me, where you were married, you were divorced, you were in a long-term relationship, been with this person, I'm getting 9 to 10 years because we got the 9 and the 10s coming out. We had 10 come out, maybe even 22 because we had 22 come out as well. 8 years. It's never too late. And especially as a spiritual empath, our journeys are incredibly unique. For the majority of us, we're actually I'm hearing a lot of us are soul contracted to different connections. Also, for some of you, this could also be like if you've never been married, if you've never really been in a super long-term relationship, a really, really long-term relationship, this could also be another confirmation for you that if you feel you've missed the boat on that, is what I'm getting, it's never too late. The breathing rose, healing heart, emotions, connection, time eases. This came out earlier when I was sort of prepping for this reading. It kind of popped out. And I felt like it was maybe a personal message for me, but now I'm seeing that it's the collective as well. Anytime we go through a heart healing and a heart expansion, we achieve emotional mastery, is what they're saying to me. This is about a connection back to you, a connection back to your heart space, a connection back to your own intuition. This is also about being gentle with yourself, okay? Time eases. It wasn't until I got out of like a certain time frame post-divorce that I was actually able to sort of be more gentle with myself and not berate myself so much about what I was feeling and making that decision earlier. And, you know, because a lot of this too is sort of like, you go through these things sometimes where it was like, well, if I knew and I knew at a deeper level, then why did I put that person through that another few months and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's ridiculous to say that because you're not the only person in that connection. You have another person there too. And the same way that you would work compassionately with them as an empath, it's okay for you to have that for yourself as well. And one of the things that my ex-husband was incredibly graceful about was that. Yeah. Sub Rosa, hidden in plain sight, mysteries, learning and teaching. This was another thing that came through. If you are connected to the Venusians, if you are connected to the Way of the Rose, if you are connected to the Rose lineage, the Essenes, the Brotherhood, the Sisterhood of the Rose, okay? Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Christ consciousness. Anna, grandmother of Jesus. This is a big part of our journey, being part of this lineage, is learning through relationships. Learning and teaching is essentially what they want me to focus on with that. These are divine feminine mysteries. These are the mysteries of the rose. Okay? I'm going to pop some cards now. Yeah. So some of us, we've got the Eight of Cups coming out in reverse. Interesting that we had the 8, the 9. So this is an energy of pausing before walking away. Also, the lunar cycles might be significant in that for you. Some of you may be consulting with Luna around this. I'm getting with that the sway of emotions, like when we have like a full moon and how energies can be kind of ramped up. Some of you may also be working some of us may be working very with the moon to hone our intuition. Page of Wands, Ace of Cups. Some of this is a new beginning in love. Some of you are going through or have been exactly through what I've been through, very similar, like where it's like you had the nudge, you paused. Patience is a virtue, right? Biding time. But you're looking at new love coming in. Now, this is a page, okay? So the energy that's coming through here is more around you as a free spirit, you and your freedom, you in choosing you and being honest with yourself in this particular situation and communicating that. This Ace of Cups can also be a new love cycle in a relationship that you're already in. Okay, because this ace. 8 of Cups, again, for another ace to be coming through, there's something here about a new beginning. Okay, and you know what's funny? My bracelet just undid, and there's something about that in terms of breaking a cycle that they want to bring through. What's at the bottom of the deck? Yeah, the Chariot in reverse. Again, sometimes this pause in not moving forward is necessary. Like they cannot emphasize that enough. And this is, again, about not being hard on yourself for taking that pause. Do we want anything else? They want me to also pull. Yeah, look at that. Another ace coming out in reverse. They want me to pull that off the bottom of the deck. So yeah, some kind of delay here in terms of that. They just want me to pop one more. That one came flying out. I'm hearing with that, only fools rush in. Only fools rush in. Page of Swords. We got people coming through here, okay? Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Okay. I'm also getting messages with that because the pages can be messages as well, all right? At the center of this read is the Ace of Cups. This is the energy of following your heart healing. That's what this is about, okay? It's also an energy of divine intervention. Know that you are protected in this. Know that whichever way this is going to go, you have to believe that, is what they're saying. Believe that whichever way this is going to go, if you have the right intentions, if you're honest, if you're coming from your heart, if you're being honest, even though you know it's going to kind of fuck shit up a little bit, like you're going to be like, and I'm talking specifically about this in a relationship where, again, there's a good foundation here, okay? It's not like you're going to speak the truth and the other person's going to have like a fucking, I don't know, like they're going to combust or something, like you're not able to talk to them. because they are giving me really specifically that type of a situation. I'm not seeing any kind of toxicity here in this relationship. I mean, there could be traits here where it's like they're emotional. There could be a little bit of immaturity. There could be that type of a thing, right? Where maybe perhaps you're dealing with somebody who's a little bit more also coming from their ego, right? Maybe they're a little bit reactive, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm seeing that in a reasonable sense, okay? I hope that's making sense. Like, it's not like this person is incredibly volatile and you feel unsafe. I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that with this type of, again, it's this energy of like everything looks good on paper. Everything seems to be pretty good right now. You're not really super, okay, you might argue, you might fight, but it's not like there's anything where you feel physically, emotionally unsafe. Okay, I want to make that absolutely clear. What's interesting is that we've got 2 pages coming out here, and they're fire and air. So a lot of what I'm getting here is this need for freedom and this need for expression. This need to say the truth. And also to be honest with yourself. This also is a confirmation for some of you who've been there, done that, in terms of the amount of growth that you've gone through. Because this Ace of Cups is, again, some kind of heart activation or new cycle in love. I think I'm going to leave it there. Please share if this has resonated with you in any way. Any kind of pings as well that you get throughout the message, feel free to put that in the comments below. I am offering one-on-one sessions currently. All that information is in the description box, and I'm going to tag that in the comments as well, pin it to the comments. I will be back soon with another video, and I'm also, like I said, in the process of building a community and a platform for us to be together so we could talk more about this and go a lot more deeper into this, because there's only so much that I can do in these YouTube videos. Thank you to the Venusians. Thank you to the lineage of the Rose, to Commander Ashtar for being here with us. Thank you through Spirit. I thank you for being here, sharing your time, your energy with us in this space. And I'm sending you so much love wherever you are. In love and liberation always.